Facility Operations Center.
안녕하십니까?
Good morning. Today I'm going to talk about the National Deep Sea Research Facility Operations Center. My name is Park Yo-sup. The Maritime Robotics Test and Evaluation Center is located in Pohang, which is close to the EC. And the EC has the depth of about 2,300 kilometers. Pohang, where my center is located, and Gyeongsang Province, where Pohang is located, have their own characteristics. And within the maritime territories of Korea, and when it comes to the deep sea, after the Gyeongsangbuk-do province were aware of this territorial identity, they announced the plan, and I was leading this project to find more about the basic infrastructure that we need for deep sea research activities. At KIOST, it is one of the leading Korean agencies in the field of ocean research activities. As you may well know, the ocean is the origin of life, and almost most of the food comes from the sea. And most of the transport happens through the seas. So we're working on behalf of the government, in a sense. There are many issues at hand. For instance, coastal erosion, pollution, global warming. These are major challenges that we are trying to tackle. But I believe that there are other issues as well that we need to focus on. And regarding what these issues are specifically, we wanted to have a clearer picture. And we wanted to know more about the deep sea, which we do not understand fully. And why do we lack knowledge of the deep sea? And what is the area where we can improve? And we were given a very good chance to study the deep sea that we don't have much knowledge of. And we understood that we do not have many research facilities for doing that. When it comes to the deep sea, well, it's the base for life, but it has a completely different conditions. It has no light, it's very cold, and it's high pressure. There are many species, living species in the deep sea. As Dr. Yang mentioned, 70% of the area is unexplored. Up until now, we put down a dredge to understand what living species are there underwater, but actually these were dead bodies that we researched. Or what we did was to collect living species out of sand. But now we're talking about living species that are living without oxygen, and we didn't have much of a ground for researching and studying these conditions. For new research activities, we need new tools. In Korea, this year, in order to launch space rockets, we spent more than 2 trillion won to develop Nuri, and we saw a successful launch. And we can have a closer look at the space with the presence of Nuri up in the space. And also we are seeing some successful results. This is the James Webb telescope Compared to the images shown by Hubble telescope, you can see that the image quality is much better, and that will help us to make another leap forward in terms of space exploration. What that means is that we need more proactive investment in the field of the deep sea exploration as well. Then what tools do we need to study the sea, especially the deep sea? Basically, in real time, we want to know what happens underwater in real time. So we need monitoring systems using cables. In many countries around the world, monitor the activities with cables. Neptune in Canada, Venus, Mars. Well, actually, these were supposed to look at the activities of the Earth. And also, these were used for military purposes as well. And regarding this point, where the chairman of this session actually suggested a cabling monitoring system for the EC. And the second point, this was already brought up in the Dr. Yang's presentation. It's about manned submersibles. And we already have the history of that, starting with Alvin in 1964. Well, actually, there was a story that tells us that we had such a vehicle in Greece, but Alvin was the first case that used SNT, and Alvin was improved on a continual basis. And with the introduction and development of Alvin, we saw the emergence of other vehicles in other countries, including China, with capacity of more than 16,000 meters. There are manned vehicles, manned vessels, and these submersibles inherently have limitations. We have limited time of operations, and in order to tackle this limitation, we saw how the world was dedicated to developing unmanned submersibles. So regarding this part, I believe Dr. Lee Pan-mook will come back to this point to share more stories about the manned and unmanned submersibles. In Korea, for the deep sea research, sampling of resources, physical, chemical observations are being done, and many scientists are putting huge efforts into these research activities. And the 6,000-meter grade Hamire successfully carried out its research activity on hydrothermal vents. And also, at my organization, we're building the underwater robots. So just to share with you a quick image of this. At my test center, this is the ROV, and this is how this is working on the Ulung Basin. And this is one of the most representative fisheries resources, white crab. And using the robot manipulator, if necessary, it can collect these living species. So within our territorial seas, I believe this is almost the first time to have this clear image out of our territorial seas. This is just the beginning point, but this device, this equipment, can only cover 3,000 meters. Hamire used to cover 6,000 meters, but it's been more than 20 years and it's quite aged. And currently, we are not fully equipped with all the necessary infrastructure and systems to carry on with this technological development. So what is important, what is crucial, is to have this deep sea research facility so that Korean scientists can get support from these organizations. The National Deep Sea Research Facility is the preliminary name that we gave to this organization. So with this facility, these are the types of solutions or services that we can provide: gliders, manned and unmanned submersibles. And regarding the glider, we have a separate presentation, so I'll just be brief. ROV, AUV, HEV, well, these points will be covered by Dr. Lee. And also, for operating these, we need motherships. Of course, we need this kind of hardware, but what's most urgent is operating these, maintaining, repairing these equipments. And for that, we need specialists for maintenance, repair, and operation. And we need permanent programs in order to maintain such facilities. I cannot really delve into the details regarding all the development process, but anyway, working with the Gyeongsangbuk-do province and KIOST, these two parties are working closely to build building complexes, RV, AUV. Well, some of these are developed and some of these are already being commercialized. And regardless of the commercialization status, we are laying groundwork for operating the motherships. So once the government decides on its future direction, then we're good to go. So the deep sea research community, once we can build this, on the basis of this research community, there will be a variety of research organizations that can start their projects. At KIOST, KIOST is based on natural science. So for natural scientists, well, I'm talking about operational, developmental specialists. And when necessary, well, this is a very tragic case, but if you think about the case of Stella Daisy, well, when there's a sunken ship, then I believe this can be applied to the investigation of such accidents. So it's not just meeting the demands of scientists, but it's about meeting the demands of the society as well. Thank you.